My boss told the entire team I was completely replaceable. 2 years later, I was the one deciding whether his company kept its biggest contract. I was a procurement analyst at a manufacturing company for 6 years, not a glamorous job. I read supplier contracts, I ran the qualification audits, and I was the person who noticed when a vendor's numbers stopped making sense. 6 years of that, and I knew our supply base better than anyone in the building. My director was a man named Wes. Wes had a management style built entirely around making sure the room knew who was in charge of it. The moment happened in a quarterly meeting with about 30 people in it. I had pushed back on renewing a supplier I had flagged twice for quality problems. I laid out the data. Wes let me finish, smiled at the room, and said, and I remembered exactly, that he appreciated the passion, but that anyone with a spreadsheet could do what I do, and that the analyst seat is the most replaceable seat in this company. People laughed, not cruelly. Just that uncomfortable laugh people do when a senior person makes a joke at someone else's expense, and nobody wants to be the one not laughing. I did not argue. I did not cry in my car, although I want to be honest, I sat in it for a while. What I did do was start applying that weekend. 4 months later, I left for a supplier development role at a much larger company. A customer of ours, actually, although at the time it did not mean anything to me. Wes gave me a 14-second goodbye at my desk and told me to keep in touch. The new company was bigger, better run, and treated the exact skill Wes called replaceable as the whole point of the job. I got a title change in 10 months, then a team, and in my second year, I was moved on to the group that manages the qualification and annual review of our strategic suppliers. Which is how, on an ordinary Tuesday, I opened the review folder for the upcoming cycle and found the name of my old company sitting in it. I want to be very clear about what did not happen next, because this is the part people get wrong. I did not sabotage anything. I did not have to. That would have been the fastest way to lose everything I had built, and honestly, it would have been less satisfying. What I did was my job. Exactly, thoroughly, by the book. I ran the full qualification review. Every corrective action, every late shipment, every quality problem for 3 years scored against the same criteria I applied to everyone, and my old company scored badly. Not because of me, because they had spent 3 years closing corrective actions with a paragraph and a promise, and nobody on our side had ever pushed hard enough to make them do it properly. I pushed. I issued the findings. I requested a formal supplier improvement plan with an on-site review, and that is how. 10 months after I walked out of that building, I walked back into it as the customer. Wes was in the room. He prepared the slides himself. He shook my hand at the door and said it was so good to see me and that he always knew I would do well. His executive spent 2 hours presenting a corrective action plan to me, and I asked the questions I had been asking inside that company for 6 years. The same questions Wes had waved off. This time, everyone in the room wrote down the answers. They kept the contract. I want to say that because I was not there to burn anything down. They kept it on the probationary plan with quarterly reviews, and they had to hire 2 quality people to satisfy it. One of the roles they had to create was a supplier quality analyst, the most replaceable seat in the company. I do not think about Wes very often anymore, but I think a lot about how confidently he said it in front of 30 people, like it was just an obvious fact about the world. The work was never replaceable. He just could not see it from where he was sitting, and it turns out that is a much more expensive blind spot than mine ever was.